Welcome. My name is Peter Strong. I provide online therapy for agoraphobia and other anxiety disorders via Skype. So if you're looking for online help for agoraphobia, then I invite you to look at my website, learn more about the online therapy service that I offer via Skype, and then reach out to me by email. Simply go to the contact page and tell me more about yourself and what you've tried so far and any questions you may have. And if you are ready, we can go ahead and schedule a Skype therapy session to treat your agoraphobia. So being able to get online help for agoraphobia is extremely important, simply because it's so difficult to leave home, to leave that secure zone and go into an anxiety-producing place, like a therapist's office. So during these online sessions, I'll be teaching you a method called Mindfulness-based Exposure Therapy, which is an extremely effective way of managing and overcoming anxiety by taking a very structured approach, doing incremental exposure challenges each day, combined with mindfulness training, will allow you to neutralize those anxiety reactions and break free from those conditioned habitual reactions that create the anxiety that keeps you housebound. So in the mindfulness approach, the key concept is to learn how to fundamentally change the relationship that you have with your anxiety and also with the thoughts that feed that anxiety. We have to change that relationship from a blind, habitual relationship that's reactive to a conscious, non-habitual, and direct relationship that's not reactive and based on mindfulness. We have to learn how to develop this quality of our true self that we call the observer presence, the part of us that is the observer. We have to develop objective consciousness in relationship to our emotions. This is what is typically missing in people who are struggling with anxiety. We simply become slaves to these anxiety-producing habits. And anxiety is a habit. It is produced by conditioned reactive habits. Habits thrive on not being seen. They operate at the subconscious level. The way to change any habit is to bring consciousness to it, is to make it very conscious. Now that's different than being aware. You are, of course, aware of your anxiety, but you're only aware of the product of that conditioned habitual reactivity. You're not aware of the anxiety itself. You do not have a conscious relationship with it. In fact, what happens is that we become identified with the anxiety and we collapse into the emotion. We become the anxiety. So instead of being able to see anxiety, we become afraid. This is the unconscious reactive process that we need to change. And mindfulness therapy is one of the best approaches there is for changing that relationship to a conscious mindful relationship. When you can establish that mindful relationship in which you are the observer watching the emotion and watching thoughts without identifying with them, then you start activating the process of healing. Reactivity inhibits healing. Consciousness promotes healing. It allows the emotion to start undergoing a change process by which it starts to heal itself. The reactivity freezes the anxiety in place and prevents it from changing, from undergoing that healing process. So learning to develop this mindful relationship with the anxiety is absolutely central to healing. And the better you do it, and the more often you do that, the faster you will recover. So the exposure challenges, these are incremental challenges. It might be simply walking to the street, or walking around the corner, or it might be going into a shop. It might be driving a short distance. Whatever it is, we make sure that we put them in a list and then work through these challenges on a daily basis, and training with each challenge until we completely overcome the anxiety. The mindfulness training is where we practice rehearsing the challenge before we actually do it. So we play it through in our mind, like watching a movie. We imagine walking to the end of the street. We play it through in the mind to look for any of those blind, habitual reactions. The emotional reactions of anxiety and fear, and the thought reactions that feed the anxiety and fear. When we find these reactions, we then start training with them to develop this objective consciousness, where we are holding them in our conscious awareness without reacting and without identifying. We can then also work with the emotion in various ways to increase the rate of healing. There's a number of different mindfulness methods we can use, but one of the most important ones is the response of compassion. We have to learn how to be compassionate towards the anxiety. We learn to see the anxiety with compassion, the same way that we might see a child in pain and respond with compassion, or see an animal that's scared and respond with compassion. That compassionate response greatly accelerates the healing process. In many ways, you could say the problem is that the anxiety has become disconnected from your true self, that objective consciousness that is naturally able to respond with compassion. It needs that compassion. It needs that connection with your true self to heal. So in the training, which is mindfulness meditation, we are developing this conscious, compassionate connection with the anxiety. And we can watch it heal, we can see it heal as we meditate on it. It loses intensity. So we're now training the mind how to heal that anxiety. And that becomes a new learned pathway, a new habit, but a positive habit that leads to the resolution of suffering. So there's lots to learn about mindfulness-based exposure therapy. If you want to learn more, reach out to me and let's schedule a Skype therapy session. Most people respond very well to this approach, and you can expect to see significant improvements in the first few weeks. The key is to learn how to work with your anxiety using mindfulness, and then to practice at home between sessions with your exposure challenges and the training that goes along with each of those challenges. So exposure therapy by itself is not sufficient. You have to train with the anxiety. You have to train it to heal before you do the exposure challenge. This is what really makes the difference. So if you'd like to learn more, please go to my contact page and send me an email, and we can get started with your treatment plan for overcoming agoraphobia. Thank you.